Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and President Trump doesn't take breaks. There's 3-day weekends, and he's working. We got so much to cover, and your calls. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. Okay. I got a few things I want to go over here. I'm going to start with this. I wasn't going to talk about this because I can't stand Jessica Tarloff. I really cannot. And it's not just because she's a liberal. That's bad enough. But, the thing about Jessica Tarloff, she's just not a likable person. She's not a likable person. I don't trust her. I remember when she first joined the Five, which has been a number of years now. I don't remember how long. But when she first joined the Five, they went through her resume, right? And they had mentioned that she went to the London School of Economics. And anytime I hear about an American going to the London School of Economics, I think CIA. Don't you guys? That seems like something that the deep state does. Like you get recruited and they send you off to the London School of Economics. I think it's really weird when an regular American goes to the London School of Economics. So anytime I hear that, they're always on my radar. On top of the fact that she's a liberal, and she's just plain nasty. So I want to play some of this. I'll play the beginning of it, and then I got to fast forward because it goes on for a while. This is Joey Jones. He was filling in for Jesse Waters on The Five, and I'm sure most know he's a combat veteran, and he lost his legs. And I've never really heard him talk about it before, make any reference to it. He did on The Five. And Jessica Tarloff said something that was just really, I think, over the line. And you guys can let me know if you think it's over the line. And try to block out that we don't like Jessica Tarloff. I don't like her. Most people don't like her. Even Democrats probably don't like her. So I'll play the beginning, then we'll fast forward to the end. They're talking about this god-awful event in Minneapolis a couple days ago.
Make sure they didn't have those guns if he treated transgender identity problems as mental health problems, which is exactly what it is. I'm sorry. You want me to prove I'm not evil to own a gun, but I'm a bigot because I want you to prove you're not crazy because you want to change your identity.
Okay. So, yeah. So he is hit on what is a triggering issue for the left. For the life of me, I have no understanding why Democrats, why liberals have grabbed on to this issue. Okay? It really is a bizarre issue. And talking truth, okay, like Joey Jones is doing, would trigger any liberal. But Jessica Tarloff, she's completely triggered. So he goes on for a long, long time, and then let me fast forward to the last minute of it, and then as they're going to break at the end of this, Jessica Tarloff drops something that I think is in very bad taste and very over the line. You let me know what you think.
If we're looking at optics here, I would like to not walk past the drug-using trash I walk past to get to my hotel. I wouldn't mind an armed guard. I've got respect for that person. If you want to save children's lives, pay attention to what President Trump's doing. Pay attention to this narrative about closing the border. Pay attention to this narrative about fortifying the places like schools that matter, because 5% of guns used in 4% of homicides, banning those, no, that's bullcrap. That's partisan, political.
Okay, now he's doing very good, and this is something that most of us agree with. And now you hear Jessica, she's triggered. He's been going on for like almost 4 minutes. She's at this point about all of these issues. She's completely triggered. She tries to get in, and he fillets her, so then she drops the inappropriate remark.
It's not saving children's lives.
Was one of that 4%, I think you'd be singing a different tune.
Yeah, but my kid isn't, so I'm not.
Lucky you.
Yeah,
but there are families right now that are grieving because their kids were part of that.
I'll go to bed tonight and thank God on my knees that don't exist anymore, that my child is still alive, and any Democrat politician that says I'm wrong for that anyone's wrong for praying, God help you.
Well, now you've played the leg card, and I can say no more.
Wow, now you've played the leg card, and I can say no more. What do you think about that? That's a real low-life thing to say. First of all, it's disrespectful to veterans, to combat veterans, to wounded warriors, anyone who's made any type of sacrifice in the military. That's just like she's discounting everything he said by saying, well, you lost your legs, so what am I going to say? I can't go after you. You're wrong. You're wrong about it. It's a way to discount everything he said in this very impassioned, he went on for 4 minutes, okay? So he went on this very extensive, detailed monologue on all of these issues, and he's right on the money on each one of them. I posted this on my X, so if you want to watch the whole thing, you can watch it when you're done listening to the podcast. Don't do it now. But she couldn't combat it. She couldn't challenge anything that Joey Jones said. So she says, well, you're wrong about everything, but you lost your legs in the war, so I can't criticize you. I got to let you just get away with all this nonsense that you got away with because you lost your legs. That is, to me, that's one of the most low-life things I've ever heard anyone say on cable news. Second only to that Martin Bashir and those disgusting comments that he made about Sarah Palin many years ago. Remember that? Oh, my goodness. I can't even say what he said on MSNBC he wanted someone to do on Sarah Palin. It was so vile. You can look that one up too, guys, okay? It was really bad. But, liberals have lost their freaking minds. You hear it with the liberals I talk to on the phones, and you also, and I know you can tell by the ones I talk to that call me here on the program that the left have lost it, but it's beyond these guys. You look at these high-paid people that are paid hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars to be on national television. Do they sound any less unglued and unhinged than the people that call me here? No, they're the left, the few liberals that are left, the few people that are out there advocating for all this stuff, they're a lot smaller in numbers than they were, and the numbers are getting smaller and dwindling all of the time. But the ones that are out there, they're not sane. They're completely unglued. And and a lot of what I talk about on the podcast here right now is going to show that on some things that are going on right now. Now, this, I want to play this exchange. This was on CNN, and at in this conversation, the liberal lunatic, she made terrible comments that are just so bizarre about our favorite president, Donald Trump. But then she references something that I had not heard before. I had no idea what she was talking about. So I went and looked it up. Okay? And I'm going to play for you what she was referencing at the end. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll hear it in this. This is on CNN. She's there with Jennings.
Everybody's missing the point here. The point is he's doing this on purpose.
He is President Trump, of course.
Priming the public to get accustomed to having the military in the streets. He's priming you to have distrust in the rule of law. He himself is a convicted felon.
Oh, my goodness. In a corrupt courtroom with a corrupt judge and a corrupt jury. And by the way, the judge didn't sentence him to any jail time, did he? Mm-mm.
Opposes the rule of law, and we know this because he pardoned people that beat up cops.
Okay. Through the history of pardons, innocent people don't get pardoned. Only the guilty get pardoned. So every president from the beginning of time that's pardoned has pardoned people that were guilty of something. President Trump's J6 pardons may be the first pardons of people that didn't do anything. Right? Every pardon before the J6 pardons were criminals that did all kinds of crazy things or commuting sentences, sometimes of violent crimes. I think President Trump may be the first person, the first president to pardon people who were not guilty. But all of a sudden, they have this standard that's never been applied before.
On January 6th. Meanwhile, this guy, this should be the lead story, is clearly suffering from massive mental decline.
Okay, she's talking about President Trump. She says, President Trump is obviously suffering from mental decline. He just had a 3-hour live cabinet meeting taking questions from the press nonstop throughout the other day, and that wasn't his only event. He went from that, then he had another press event in the Oval Office with the South Korean president. He did something even before the cabinet meeting. I mean, come on. Taking questions every time.
He is out of his mind with all of the show and tell procedures that go on in the Oval Office. 2 days ago, he gave 3 press conferences.
That's right.
In a row. And if you don't think he has dementia, let's just discuss the time that when he was on the campaign trail that he tried to perform oral sex on a microphone.
Okay. Now, I never heard that before. She just, and Jennings is sitting there, she said that he tried to perform oral sex on a microphone. Now, I'd never heard this before, so I looked it up. It didn't take long. I just had to type in Trump oral sex microphone, and it came up. I'm going to play for you the video. It's right above it if you're watching on YouTube, it's right there on top of this one. I'm going to rewind it and show it to you. And I imagine that in Democrat liberal circles, this is like, they all know about this oral sex microphone thing. Now, what has happened with President Trump and microphones at events, it's happened at multiple rallies, and it's also happened on one of the debates with Hillary Clinton. They like to put the microphones low for him so that he has to bend forward when he's talking. And they do that, when you're speaking, like when I'm on the air, like right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this. And, if you watch me on YouTube all the time, you notice this. But if you're listening to the podcast on one of the audio podcast version on one of the podcast platforms, I'm always standing when I'm on the air. And I stand for a couple of reasons, but one of the ones is if you're bent over or you're sitting down, it affects your diaphragm and your breathing when you're speaking. And it's also uncomfortable and doesn't look good. So they have saboteurs that work at these debates, and sometimes even on the crews at the rallies, and they put the microphones down low for him to affect his performance in a negative way. And at this particular rally, it happened. Now, I saw this rally when this happened, but I didn't see what this idiot on CNN saw. Okay, so let me just rewind what she said again, and then I'll show you the clip that she's referencing. Let me rewind. This is CNN, this liberal idiot sitting next to Jennings.
The show and tell procedures that go on in the Oval Office. 2 days ago, he gave 3 press conferences in a row.
That's
and if
right.
you don't think he has dementia, let's just discuss the time that when he was on the campaign trail that he tried to perform oral sex on a microphone.
Okay, she said he tried to perform oral sex on a microphone. Okay, so here's the incident. The microphone is messed up. He went on for quite some time about it. This clip is just towards the end, and it's a clip from Right Side Broadcasting where I saw it live. But the microphone stand was messed up. It was too low. He actually took the microphone off the stand and was holding it. And now he's off mic. So, you can't hear too much. He's off mic. If you're on YouTube, you can see this. See, so what he did, I'll describe it for you. He says it's too low. They set the microphone too low. So he just bent forward like he would have to do if he were to talk into the microphone at that low level. And this perverted woman on the left, she saw someone imitating oral sex. That's because that's where her mind is. That's because she's got a dirty mind. It's because she's a perv. She's a sick person. It's just like during the first campaign when he said Megyn Kelly was freaking out. She was bleeding from out of her ears and out of everywhere. And then they said, her menstrual cycle, which I don't even know if she gets anymore at her age. And I remember seeing President Trump on CNN talking. He was on the phone after that. Was it Don Lemon's show at night? It might have been Don Lemon on CNN. And he says that's what they saw because they've got dirty minds. So they heard something that I didn't say about Megyn Kelly with the... And that's what this perverted woman and a lot of other weirdo Democrats, That's what they saw because that's where their mind is. They're projecting their dirty thoughts and their perversions that are generated in part not just because they have dirty minds, but because they hate him. And because they hate him so much, everything he does is wrong. Now, if you're watching live on YouTube, you can call me live on the air. You're welcome to call in about anything I'm talking about. The number is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. If you're listening to the podcast on one of the podcast platforms, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms. Just search for The Brian Craig Show, and it'll come up. And if you follow me on YouTube, The Brian Craig Show on YouTube, you can catch the podcast live. That's where I take the live calls, and you can call in and participate if you catch the podcast live on YouTube. I'll take a call or two, but I got a lot to cover today, so I'm moving a little fast here because there's so much to cover. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Ezra. I'm calling from Alabama. I was wondering if you had a moment to speak.
Well, yeah, that's why I give out the phone number and have people call.
Sounds pretty good. I'd like to preface this by saying that I'm not in direct opposition to Trump per se, but I do have a few qualms, and I was wondering if you'd like to have a discussion about those.
I'll see. I mean, I got a lot going on. I mean, it sounds like you're going to go off topic, but I'll see. I'm not going to promise, but we'll see. What's your beef? What's your beef with Trump?
Well, I mean, seeing as it's your channel and everything, I was going to say, like, if there's a topic you'd like to stick to.
No, you said you got some issues with Trump. What's your problem? He's a great president. I can't understand why anybody would have any problems with him, but go ahead.
I mean, I tend to agree with that. The problem I think I have the most, and I think what a lot of liberals and leftists tend to bring up quite a bit, is the idea that the Epstein files haven't been released yet.
Oh, please, give me a break. What a bunch of BS. No, I'm not talking about that.
Okay. Do you have a topic you would like to talk about?
Watch the show, and you'll hear the topics, all right? That's how it works. You don't call in randomly with nothing to say, and I just do a pitch meeting with you. The way it works, okay, for those that are new, listen to the program. When you hear something that you can agree and call in, or if something, you hear something I say you agree with, you can call. Or if you take issue with something I said, you can call in and say, hey, I think you're full of it, and we'll talk about it. That's the way it works. You don't call in and say, hey, I want to talk, run some issues by me. That's not doing a show. That'd be kind of sad and pathetic if I did that too, wouldn't it? I think so. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
KR. My name is KR. I'm calling from Longmont, Colorado.
Okay. Hold on one second. Let me answer all these other lines coming in. All right, Colorado, what's on your mind?
Well, I mean, I just tuned in. I saw you. I've seen you before. I just wanted to talk about vaccinations.
No.
I know everyone's scared of vaccinations.
No. What a bunch of weirdos. What's your name? You're on the air. Where are you calling from?
My name is Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm calling from America.
America. Oh, that's good. I'm in America.
Yeah.
The United States of America?
Oh, cool.
Are you in the United States of America? North America? South America?
No, the first one.
Okay.
I just wanted to call because I saw that you just ducked the Epstein list question.
Yeah, because I'm not talking about that.
You actually addressed that?
No.
No, but can you actually address that, though?
No.
Oh, so you just run the show as like a total coward then?
No, I host a program. I'm talking about issues out of the news, and I don't just throw the lines. I just.
To do so?
I'm a
profession have you worked that makes you qualified to talk about this?
I am a professional broadcaster who's been on the air every day for 34 years on the radio.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so since you asked, what's your qualifications? Oh my goodness. Yeah, in fact, I think I'm overqualified. All right, let me take one more call, and then I'll get back to the real world of reality. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug. Oh, my goodness.
I'm thinking about this miserable woman who's on there. I think when she auditioned to get a part there, they must have said, what can you possibly say that is totally miserable against President Trump? And she probably had some good things planned out.
You know, I saw that. I remember that rally with the microphone where he was ticked off. He talked about it took a while to get it fixed. In fact, he even said, you know, do you want to? I remember he said to the crowd, Do you want me to chew out somebody? But you want to watch me chew out someone backstage or something like that? He said it that way, if I remember correctly. You know, and you saw. I didn't see any oral sex simulation, but that perverted woman on CNN, that's what she saw.
Ridiculous. I mean, you know, these people, they have to go home and think hard. What can I possibly say that's ridiculous that I can get people to think I'm saying something real? You know, man, I'm sick of it. I feel bad that you have to listen to CNN for your living, but no, I didn't.
I don't listen to CNN. So I saw that. Yeah. I saw that on social media. I saw the clip. And I'm like, oh, I gotta share this. This is stupid. You think I sit in front of a television and watch that garbage? No.
Yeah, man, I would hate that. I feel bad for you if you did. Anyway, the other thing is, I just talked to a liberal who says to me, "Well, we're talking about how clean up Washington is," and one liberal tells me, he's so happy. I said, are you a Republican yet? No, not yet, but he's doing a good job. The other liberal says, oh, well, now what do you want to have? No more local police, just have the National Guard take over everything? Mm-hmm. I said, you know, the National Guard is there to help the local police, right? And why would you want to, well, if the National Guard is there, we're in a military state. No, he's cleaning things up.
Well, listen, there's obvious, listen, I'm not one of these guys that blindly follows the police. I don't think you are either. Most people aren't, because there's no. But what's going on, Washington D.C., there's a different thing going on. Number one, the military that are there, Washington D.C. is not a normal city. It's not a part of a state. It is under the jurisdiction of the federal government. There's a congressional committee that oversees the mayor and the city council. The city council and the mayor are a little bit more than figureheads. It's not in a, the reason that Washington, the District of Columbia, is not in a state is because the federal government didn't want to have a governor or a mayor or a state legislature or a city council have authority over them. So the federal government has always had 100% jurisdiction over Washington, D.C. It's not like they took over Chicago, okay? Number one, after that, the military, not only have they been deployed in D.C. many times over the years, they're not taking part in police activities. They're there just as a presence.
Yeah, well, without a doubt, they're doing it. By them being there, it made these people get out of sight. Now, will they come back? Yeah, maybe they'll come back, but hopefully not. And every city that's having these problems, I don't see what's wrong with having the military have their presence there to show people that you can't be doing what you're doing. Enough is enough. How long? I mean, I always complain bad enough that I go by the homeless shelter and you see people laying on the floor. I say, how much tax do I got to pay to not have to see people laying on the floor like animals? You know, I mean, this is enough is enough, man. Yeah. They got to. They're doing a great job, and I can't stand that there's CNN and MSNBC and the rest of them, and some of the people that call.
Well, we have seen two reporters from the White House press corps, both of which have told stories of being robbed and mugged at gunpoint. The one lady reporter from NTD told a story in the cabinet meeting the other day on how she was pistol whipped. Remember, and she's a little woman. Yep. And Brian Glenn had talked about being mugged at gunpoint. President Trump had said that prior to this, the reporters would leave the White House. They would have to have security details escort them back to their offices at whatever network or news outlet they're with. That's crazy. It's out of control.
Yeah, totally out of control. And the local police do the best they can, but they're outnumbered. So they needed some assistance. There's nothing wrong with giving the assistance that the people need.
Well, most everything that's going on in Washington, D.C., so far as police activity, is with the local Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police. And what the problem the police had in Washington, D.C. is they have very poor leadership, okay? And all of the police activity has been done by them with the federal agents as backup. And I'll tell you, we're 2 weeks into this. I have yet to hear a story of police misconduct in D.C. And I've been looking for it because if it comes out, it's going to be out there.
Yeah, but there's plenty of misconduct, and when you go to they lock these people up, put them in jail. There should be, and then they get released. So the judges of the misconduct, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they're letting people go. They shouldn't be going. It's really they got to get
agreed.
More conservative.
All right, Doug, I gotta run, but take care, man. Appreciate the call. My name's Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take a break. I got a lot more to cover, and we'll be back right after this quick break. Imagine this. You're driving home, sober, clear-headed, and suddenly you're under arrest. You passed every test. You proved your innocence. It doesn't matter. You're cuffed, jailed, humiliated. That's what happened to activist, Senate candidate, and author Dakari Lariat in his book, Don't Flush. From a false arrest to a political awakening. Available on Amazon, he rips the lid off a system that chews up innocent people and spits them out. This isn't fiction. This is his fight. From a false arrest to a $10 million lawsuit to a full-on push for real change, like ending qualified immunity and creating a motorist bill of rights. Don't Flush is about what happened, but it's also about what's next and how one person took an injustice and turned it into action. With this book, you'll learn how you can join the fight. If you care about freedom, fairness, and holding power accountable, order your copy of Don't Flush, available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Don't wait. Order it, read it, and stand up. Don't Flush, from author Dakari Lariat on Amazon. Imagine this. You're driving home, sober, clear-headed, and suddenly you're under arrest. You passed every test. You proved your innocence. It doesn't matter. You're cuffed, jailed, humiliated. That's what happened to activist, Senate candidate, and author Dakari Lariat in his book, Don't Flush. From a false arrest to a political awakening. Available on Amazon, he rips the lid off a system that chews up innocent people and spits them out. This isn't fiction. This is his fight. From a false arrest to a $10 million lawsuit to a full-on push for real change, like ending qualified immunity and creating a motorist bill of rights. Don't Flush is about what happened, but it's also about what's next and how one person took an injustice and turned it into action. With this book, you'll learn how you can join the fight. If you care about freedom, fairness, and holding power accountable, order your copy of Don't Flush, available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Don't wait. Order it, read it, and stand up. Don't Flush, from author Dakari Lariat on Amazon. Business doesn't stop at borders, but too often, cultural misunderstandings do. Every year, companies lose time, money, and talent when international assignments fail. Not because of skills, but because employees aren't prepared for life and work in a new culture. That's why Culture Compass was created. Culture Compass is the mobile app that gives your teams instant cultural intelligence. From etiquette guides and gesture tips to essential phrases with audio and an AI planner to prepare them for meetings, relocations, or global travel. For HR and L&D teams, Culture Compass delivers powerful analytics, customization, and scalable training at a fraction of the cost of traditional workshops. Culture Compass, helping your workplace thrive anywhere in the world. Visit culturecompass.app to learn more. That's culturecompass.app. Have you ever felt forgotten? Like your prayers only echo back in silence. In the darkest nights, it's easy to believe God has turned away, but his promises still stand. From author A.L. Schilling comes a 30-day invitation to rediscover the future God has already written for you in Declaring the Dawn in the Midst of the Night, available on Amazon. In this must-read and life-changing book, each day offers a scripture meditation, a heartfelt prayer, and a gentle challenge to take one step closer to the dawn that's waiting. Author A.L. Schilling knows this journey firsthand. A seasoned diplomat far from faith, he wrestled with doubt, loss, and resilience until grace found him. Now his testimony becomes your guide through 30 days of renewal and hope. You don't need to fix yourself before you begin. Come just as you are and see what
what God can do in 30 days. Start your journey right now. Declaring the Dawn in the Midst of the Night from author A.L. Schilling is available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Order your copy today, because even in the midnight hour, the dawn is already breaking. Don't you hate it when you buy something online and then you get slapped with a huge shipping charge at checkout? Not at MyPillow.com. Right now, enjoy free shipping on all orders $100 or more when you use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at MyPillow.com. This is your chance to stock up on unbeatable deals on everything site-wide. Soft sheets, cozy slippers, plush bathrobes, mattresses, mattress toppers, pet beds. It's free shipping on all orders $100 or more. Order now at MyPillow.com and use the promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, for free shipping.
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, where MAGA comes to talk. You know, all these leftists, they're talking about prices and the economy. They're telling you all these lies. Gas prices. You know, Labor Day weekend, which we're in right now, is a big weekend because Labor Day always falls on a Monday. So the roads are busy, and every Labor Day we get gas prices. Listen to this.
The holiday weekend typically increases road travel every year, but...
By the way, this is out of local news in Iowa.
The holiday weekend typically increases road travel every year, but numbers could get even higher due to decreased gas prices. Gas Buddy, a fuel savings app, reported the lowest Labor Day gas costs in 5 years.
Wow. The lowest Labor Day gas prices in 5 years. Who was president 5 years ago when they were this low again? Oh, yeah, Donald Trump in his first term.
Sitting at a projected national average of $3.15 per gallon. Here in Iowa, the numbers match that trend.
Specifically to Iowa, today's average is $2.92 across the state, and a year ago we were at $3.21.
Wow.
The holiday week.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And it's not just the local news in Iowa. This is CNN. Listen to this.
If you're planning a road trip this holiday weekend, gas prices at their lowest level for a Labor Day weekend in years. In some states, they are below $3 a gallon.
Wow.
Matt Egan is here with the good news. We have to say goodbye to summer, but we're going to do it and save some cash.
Wow, yeah, and say thank you to Donald Trump while you're at it, CNN.
That's right, Erica. Look, you are in luck if you're hitting the roads this holiday weekend. Gas Buddy is projecting the national average this Labor Day, $3.15 a gallon. That's the lowest since 2020. Of course, back then the roads were pretty empty because of COVID. You can see the trend the past few years. The expectation is that prices will be a little bit lower than last year, but significantly lower than 3 years ago when we were looking at almost $4 a gallon. Of course, that was when gas prices had gone to record highs. And
so here we go. The lowest gas prices in 5 years on Labor Day. President Trump did that, and that's a darn good thing that he did. And the economy is going very, very well. You know, a lot of one of the reasons, and gas prices down is a very good thing. One of the reasons, though, even though prices have gone down in the stores, I've seen it myself, and they've gone down a lot, but some prices have not. Like my wife and I we don't cook too much because it's just the two of us. We don't eat much, and it's just the two of us. And you guys heard we get takeout a lot, DoorDash and stuff. And at the takeout restaurants we go to, some of them have really gotten out of control with their prices. There's no getting around it, okay? I mean, some of the prices, like at Chipotle, I love Chipotle, but the prices are just crazy. And what's happened a lot of times is a lot of these companies are not lowering their prices. They're not lowering them as much as they could because they've already raised them. So they think that the customers will suck it up. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to Chipotle as much as I used to, because their prices have gotten out of control. But prices are going down all over the place. Gas prices are their lowest since President Trump's first term, which is absolutely amazing. And then look at this. This is CNBC reporting on the latest with the economy.
Nice, strong number, exactly as expected, up 0.3. This follows up 0.1 and it is the best since March of this year. If we look at the PCE on a month-over-month basis, exactly as expected, up 0.2. Up 0.2 equals where we were in May. To find a lower number, you're going back towards March when it was 0. So we are making definite progress there with respect to the PCE on a month-over-month. If we take a year-over-year perspective, 2.6. Left and right, it's exactly as in the rearview mirror. It's exactly as expected. If we look at the month over month on a core basis, up 0.3. Once again, exactly as expected, exactly as the rearview mirror. And finally, what I would consider the most important number on this 7 variables within this income and spending, that would be the core PCE year over year. Comes in at 2.9.
There you go. I mean, so the economy is doing well. Prices are coming down everywhere. And I see it myself. You know, I've gone to the grocery store a couple times in the last couple weeks. And it's my first time in a grocery store in a long time because we do the Instacart so much. And the prices are, in fact, the prices are so low at the grocery store because I went to do, we needed a couple things. We needed them now. So I went to the grocery store and I was looking at, and I called my wife because I don't pay attention to the grocery store prices. She does the DoorDash orders and everything else. And she was telling me that on DoorDash, it was a lot more money for all the different items and that we would normally buy a lot. Some of them were a couple of dollars more an item. And I said, well, we got to stop doing the DoorDash then. I mean, because the prices, it looks like the prices have dropped in the grocery store themselves, but they haven't dropped at DoorDash. You understand what I mean? Because they figure people are used to paying that since the lockdown period when people started doing deliveries like crazy. So I find myself actually going to the store and the prices are like great. It's almost like you don't mind now because prices have come down so much. You know, the people that gripe about the prices are the people that are, you know, always going to gripe about President Trump. Trump can do no right with these people, okay? They're always going to criticize him. They're always going to be after him. Now, we got a new top Patreon supporter that I want to welcome to the program. Teresa just became a top Patreon supporter today. And if you would like to support my channel and my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of the episode on whatever platform you're listening on. And when you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes, plus a lot of exclusive things that I post on the Patreon page, as does my wife, that we post nowhere else. So become a Patreon supporter, get all of those benefits, the commercial-free edition of every podcast episode. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen and a thank you shout out on every podcast episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, and our newest top Patreon supporter, Teresa. Thank you all. Again, there's a link in the description of the episode. And the direct website address is patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. And it'll take you right there to my Patreon page. Now, I wanted to pull this up. This was an amazing thing. I was going to actually play this at the top, but then I saw a couple other things that I wanted to share. Hold on, where is this article? Oh, yeah, okay, here's this. This is Joy Reid, who is just really just a crazy person. And, you know, Joy Reid, you know, she's a tragic figure, not just because she's liberal. She's had every opportunity in the world. She's got an Ivy League education. She's nationally known. She's a famous woman. She's been on network national television for years. She's not now, but she has been for years. And because of her fame and everything, going in the direction of the new media, which so many of us that are in regular traditional media have done, is a really good route. And when you're famous like Joy Reid, you're so many legs ahead in the race in the new media. And she wasted so much. But she dropped this video, and I almost feel sorry for her. It's hard to feel sorry for Joy Reid because she's such a nasty person. But listen.
As many times as I have been called DEI or an affirmative action baby and all that, you know what I never get? Mad. Because I actually am very much in favor of DEI. I don't take that as an insult because I understand that means that I'm just damn excellent and innovative. And yeah, I am DEI. I'm bringing diversity, and that's bringing something great. You're not insulting me. If you say, oh, you're an affirmative action person that got into Harvard, I'm like, yeah, I got into Harvard with affirmative action, and Yale, and Brown, and also, Vassar, and the University of Denver.
Wow, she got into all those fancy schools. I just went to State University here in Florida. She got all these fancy schools. Wow, she's got a lot. Those degrees. She's got the Harvard. That's like the golden ticket in Willy Wonka. You've got a degree, no matter what it's in. If it's a Harvard degree, you are set for life. You will never want those degrees. It's a club, and they impress people. This DEI, and by the way, she's wearing a baseball cap. It says FDT. FDT. Joy Reid's wearing this, FDT. And has she become MAGA or something? Because doesn't FDT stand for Forever Donald Trump? So she wants to have Donald Trump around forever Donald Trump. That's what that stands for on her cap. So I'm a little confused because she's always hating on Trump. But this DEI is affirmative action. It was called affirmative action for a long time, and it went through a rebrand because affirmative action was very controversial and was so unpopular in so many places. They've rebranded it, like global warming became climate change. But here's the thing. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, I've heard him talk about this, but he's not alone. I've heard others talk about this in regards to affirmative action. And I think I've heard Clarence Thomas, or not just Clarence Thomas, but Colin Powell, I may have heard talk about this once or twice. But I've heard others, but Clarence Thomas for sure. And Clarence Thomas talked about how when you're a minority and you rise to these upper levels, like he was a federal judge and then the Supreme Court. He was a regular federal judge before he was on the Supreme Court. He says people just assume that you got into college and law school because of affirmative action, and you just got the fancy job at the law firm or on the bench because of affirmative action. They just assume you're not good enough, smart enough, educated enough, or didn't earn it, and it was just given to you. And Clarence Thomas has talked about how that's a tough thing to live with when people look at you and assume that you're not good enough, that you didn't make it, that you needed some special thing to get into the law school or the college or the law firm or on the bench. Yeah, and that's a terrible thing, because Clarence Thomas has worked really, really hard. He's a good guy, and I people work hard. They get their positions, and then people think, well, they didn't earn their way here. Yeah, that's a terrible thing, And so why would Joy Reid go around bragging that she didn't earn her way into these fancy schools or jobs that she's had? Why is she going around saying, I did not make the cut, but because she says DEI, they didn't have DEI when she was getting into college. It was affirmative action. But because of affirmative action, I got into college. I don't know who would brag about that. And it's not a good thing to brag about, regardless of what your opinion is on it. I'm not debating DEI or affirmative action. We talk about that a lot. Regardless of your opinion on it, like say you're pro-DEI, you're pro-affirmative action. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to tell young people that because of DEI, you don't have to work as hard in school to get into a top college, because Joy Reid didn't? Is that really a good message? I would say it's not a good message. In fact, I would say that's the opposite of the message that you want to be sending. All right, now if you would like to if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to join the program, you're welcome to call in. If you're listening live on YouTube, the number is pinned in the live chat. It's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Hear ye, hear ye. Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Floridians, take note. Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida have allocated $280 million for the 25-26 fiscal year to fund new grants under My Safe Florida Home program. This grant is up to $10,000 when you spend $15,000 or more on your project. This may include roofing and wind mitigation systems. Go online at mysafefloridahome.com and get approved before the money is gone. If you need help, please call me, Tom Laporta, 954-604-4602, or find us at laportaroofing.com. It's simple. When you spend $1, the state matches $2 up to $10,000. They send you a check. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is. So again, call us at 954-604-4602 or find us at laportaroofing.com.
On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and follow on whatever platform you're listening on. And don't forget, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms, so you can do a whole bunch of binge listening. In fact, this podcast, the Brian Craig Show podcast, is really a historical document. You can go back and follow. I was doing this podcast long before, but you can go back from the time Trump came down the escalator until today and relive the entire first campaign and first term and everything in between if you'd like. Okay, the Democrats are just totally messed up. They had this bizarre DNC retreat where they were acknowledging the stolen land that is the United States from the natives and all of this. If you go around the world, this is a serious question. What land is occupied by people that are indigenous to that land from the beginning of prehistoric times? Prehistoric times. No one. Everyone on every strip of land is descendant of someone who was nomadic and ended up where they ended up, with one exception. God gave the land of Israel to the Jews. So other than the Jews in Israel, no one is indigenous anywhere. But if you don't want to go back that far and you talk about the European colonist in the Americas, why is it the Democrats are always complaining about the United States, right? Why don't they complain about Canada? Canada was settled by the British and French, just like the United States was. There were some others, the Spaniards, but you know what I mean. Why do they only talk about the United States? The Europeans colonized Canada. Why does Canada not get a bad rap? Why is it the United States? For that matter, Latin America, from Mexico down south to Chile and Argentina, the South Americans, they're not descendant of Incas and Aztecs. There's some people that may be Mayan descendant, but they're very few. The people of Latin America are descendant of Europeans too, just like people here in the United States and in Canada. They're descendant of explorers from Spain and Portugal. And the Spanish conquistadors were the worst. AOC's ancestor, Cortez, committed mass genocide throughout South America. So why is it that only the United States has a debt to owe and is on stolen lands? Is Canada not on stolen lands? What about Mexico? Is Mexico on stolen land? Is Colombia on stolen land? Is Argentina and Chile and Ghana and are they all on stolen lands? Why is it only the United States? Can somebody explain that to me? The only reason I can think of is because the United States pays with all these liberals that have all this liberal guilt. But it's really a stupid thing. And the Democrats at this bizarro retreat that they did, it was really bad. It was really bad. And they did this thing about recognizing that the United States is on stolen native lands for some reason. So James Carville, he's got a podcast, and he was pissed, to say the least. Listen, this is James Carville.
Lady, you're right. That land, what we did to Native Americans is really been well documented, and it is a sad part of our nation's history. Why are you bringing this up in an election?
Exactly.
Okay? What we did, but all kinds of things, with slavery, with experiment with drugs, what we did during what happened in the Confederacy during the Civil War, the Andersonville, and this is an election, and the DNC is not the place to discuss this.
Exactly. I'm going to play the rest of this, but what you know, I've never, James Carville, his entire life was spent getting Democrats elected. Okay, he was working on Democrat campaigns long before he worked on President Clinton's first campaign in '92. Because he had had so many successful Democrat state-level campaigns, he was brought in by President Clinton in his first campaign in '92. And James Carville, when you watch these interviews with him, the reason he's so angry and unhinged is because everything he's worked his entire life for, which is getting Democrats elected and building up the Democrat Party, has been completely wiped out by the people that are running it today. And they don't have any reasonable grown-ups in their party anymore. They have this, I saw Ari Fleischer on Fox today, and he was talking about this reaction to the Minneapolis event where they're all defending the transgender people, not talking about the babies who were lost and their families and things. Their concern is about people that not even in Minnesota. And they don't have any grown-ups. Bill Clinton's too old and out of it. And it all went down the tubes with Obama. Obama's the one that made the party so lunatic and radical. And James Carville, in his elder years, is seeing everything he worked for his entire life being torn down. It's like if you were a businessman and you built up this massive business, and then you turned on the TV every day and saw people destroying your business and it getting smaller every day and going away. That's what's going on with James Carville. Okay, let's play the rest of this.
Understand this. The DNC does not exist to right wrongs. It doesn't exist to acknowledge the more unpleasant parts of history. It doesn't exist to make people feel good. It exists, get this through your head, to win elections.
That's right.
Now, do you think that is going to help us win elections, say, like we did in Iowa, which is, I think, close to Minnesota? My geography is there. By talking about land theft from the Dakotas. We're not. Please stop this. In the name of a just, merciful God. Don't you see what's happening? Don't you see where this has brought us to? For God's sakes, lady. What is Ken Martin doing that? You don't have but one job, Ken. It's to win. No, honestly, I mean, she's probably a friend of yours from Minnesota. I'm sure she's a perfectly elegant, nice person. That has nothing to do with this. You're supposed to try to win fucking elections.
Agreed.
Before we leave this, in case you're wondering,
he's pretty pissed.
Fox was over this like stink on ship. They were all
James Carville. You know, and a lot of people, you know, you guys don't remember James Carville. He wasn't just worked on President Clinton's first campaign. He was a senior advisor in the White House in Bill Clinton's first term. And he used to be a very powerful and influential person, as was his wife, who was a Republican, who worked for Dick Cheney when he was vice president. But you could tell, I mean, everything he's ever stood for, everything he's ever worked for, it's gone. And it's freaked him out. He really needs to become a Republican. I mean, why is he still a Democrat? Because habit? He agrees with the modern Republican Party a lot more than he probably admits to himself. I want to ask you this. Are you in pain? Well, don't be. Don't live in pain. Go see Dr. Philip Appleton. He's my chiropractor. And talk to him about the laser wave pain treatment. His laser wave pain treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries. Many of these pains I've had and he's rid me of. Strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, post-surgical swelling, plantar fasciitis, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, acute pain, chronic pain, rotary tears, herniated disc. The list goes on. It works. He's rid me of pain 7 times, sometimes from falls and injuries, once from a car accident, once my arthritis in my hand. All the pain's gone. And you know what? Not only was the pain gone, the pain never returned. First time he rid me of pain was 3 years ago. And he did it without any drugs, no shots, no injections. There's no surgery, no downtime. The treatment is 100% painless. You don't even feel the laser treatment when it's happening. Dr. Appleton performs all the treatments himself, and appointments are never necessary. Walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. Now, if you're from out of town or out of state, because a lot of people come from out of town, and a lot of people come from other states around America, you can make an appointment, but you don't have to, but you can make an appointment. And if you have x-rays or scans, bring them with you. Dr. Appleton will gladly look them over for you. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll be right back.
Looking for something bold, fun, and inspiring to brighten up your day? That's what you will find at Rose for My Rose Creations on Etsy. That's the number 4. At Rose for My Rose Creations on Etsy, you'll find vibrant wall art, as well as empowering quotes, to playful street art inspired designs, and printable stickers. Every creation is made to spark joy, inspire self-expression, and make everyday moments special. Teens and adults will love the motivational quote coloring pages, perfect for a little daily inspiration. And the kids, they'll have endless fun with traceable alphabet and animal coloring pages that make learning creative and exciting. With new designs added regularly and custom orders always welcome, there's always something fresh to explore. Whether you're decorating your space, personalizing merch, or looking for a fun project with your kids, Rose for My Rose Creations brings imagination to life. Visit the shop right now online at roseformyrosecreations.etsy.com. That's the number 4, roseformyrosecreations.etsy.com, where beautiful designs meet inspiring messages. roseformyrosecreations.etsy.com. Sometimes you're not the first choice to watch the kids, or the second, or even the third, the fourth, or the fifth. But when you're out of options, it's time to call Grampy. From author Todd Cardin comes a children's book the entire family will enjoy together. Grampy, the Rhino and the Soda, available on Amazon. Grampy's a rule-breaking soda slurping wild card. Definitely not mom and dad's top pick for Safari Day. However, when Grampy takes Elliot and Lynn into the drive-through zoo, things get wild in the best and burpiest way possible. It's a day filled with a fizzy mishap, a flatulent rhino, and one unexpected hero. It's a hilarious tale of chaos, redemption, and the kind of grandparent kids never forget. Order your copy right now on Amazon and Kindle or paperback. Grampy, the Rhino and the Soda, from author Todd Cardin. Buying your first home should be exciting, unless you're slightly broke, highly anxious, and married to someone who thinks a fixer-upper is a fun weekend project. Author Karen Murphy takes you on a hilarious, heartfelt ride through real estate, relationships, and yes, even rodents, in Diary of a First-Time Homebuyer. Told through laugh-out-loud daily diary entries, you'll follow a newly married couple hunting for the one, the house, not the spouse. But mixed in with the comedy are real, actionable tips to help you through every step, from making the decision to buy to surviving the first year of home ownership. Diary of a First-Time Homebuyer is HGTV meets stand-up comedy. It's perfect for first-time homebuyers, seasoned homeowners, anyone who loves a good laugh, and it also makes a great gift. Order your copy right now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords. Diary of a First-Time Homebuyer, from author Karen Murphy.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you'd like to call in and you're watching live on YouTube, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike.
You know, Carville, he may be nuts at times, but he's right on this.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, you said, he's seeing all his work go down the drain. Their job is not to build coalitions. Their job is not to.
Well, what's happened? You're right. I appreciate the call, Mike. You know, what's happened with the Democrat Party is radical, revolutionary, lunatic activists that hate America times a million have taken over the party, and these types of liberals that James Carville's talking about have always been there, but they were never in charge. So basically, the inmates are running the asylum, is what's going on, and that's where they're going. Now, this just dropped. This is nuts. Jim Acosta, it says, received $4 million from USAID for Ukraine to give positive stories about Ukraine. This is being reported. I've not heard it 100% confirmed, but there's been a lot of changes in the media since USAID has shut down. If you've noticed, I'm not saying that the media have gotten pro-Trump all of a sudden, because they have not. But they haven't had narratives going against President Trump. See, the news manufacturers were working for USAID and were getting paid, whoever they were, whether they were at USAID, I believe, was a deep state front company, organization, agency, I should say. And they were, we know they were paying media. I don't know if this story about Acosta is true or not. It's on social media. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, we may find out more about this as days go on. But we know that they were paying some of the big media outlets. And because Doge with Elon shut down USAID, they don't have the false narrative creators employed anymore, sending out these narratives, the talking points. We refer to the talking points all the time. Those are those false narratives. They don't have that going on anymore. So the media, they still hate Trump, they're still liberal, but they're not united with a unified talking point, with a manufactured false story like they were when USAID was in operation. And I think that becomes more and more obvious all the time, doesn't it? Yeah, every once in a while they'll be in unison, like with the pronoun stuff this week. But that's one they don't need coordination with. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I brought that to your attention today about Jessica Tarloff. It's disgusting. And she's back on today, by the way. They're on now.
Yeah, well, they hadn't gotten rid of her. I mean, but if one of the conservatives made that comment, how many times have the liberals made comments about Trump making fun of a disabled reporter, which wasn't even true? Here she has really made fun of a disabled man sitting next to him. It's pretty bad.
Should have been suspended or fired. And what they do, they have her back today. I mean, I don't get it. Nobody likes her. Nobody likes that scratchy, that disgusting, gnarly voice. When my husband hears it, he's turn it off now. Turn it off, mute, or at least mute her and bring her back, and turn it back on the television. I don't know how the hell somebody actually had sex with her and had 2 kids with her. I mean, how the hell they must put a bag over her face or something.
Well,
on
her husband's probably,
like
maybe so. Her husband's probably a liberal lunatic too. Okay, now there was a story today, which I'm sure you've seen. They're trying to make a thing about it. President Trump removed the Secret Service protection detail from Kamala Harris, okay? And here they are talking about it on MSNBC.
No, because the Secret Service works for weeks on these things. The security apparatus is planned for a very long time, so they weren't prepared for it. But it's also a piece of how Donald Trump works, right? Because it is retributive, right? It's not just, we want to save money on the Secret Service or, this is weird. They do it because, some of the Harris folks said because of distractions from all of the things that are swirling around. And 2, just because he doesn't like Vice President Kamala Harris. At the end of the day, that is what I heard over and over and over again. And it speaks to how Donald Trump operates. He used the government to deal with his own personal animosity with people.
And then, of course, we saw the FBI raiding John Bolton's house.
Oh, my goodness.
We have no idea whether one thing leads to another thing, but...
And that's, of course, much more...
I don't need somebody... Is that a British accent? I don't need a foreigner with a foreign accent on American television telling us about our president. Do you?
Serious. Because that is the use of the judicial system, perhaps, against someone who has been critical of him. That is...
I guess they've forgotten all about the lawfare against President Trump and the weaponization of the Justice Department. John Bolton had classified documents at home. He had a private server, and he was emailing classified documents on a private server, and they were intercepted by a foreign nation. And we don't even know if that was by accident that they intercepted it, right? So they had good reason to do that.
When you talk about the thing with Kamala Harris, not unprecedented. The thing with John Bolton, that's pretty unprecedented.
Okay. Now, they're trying to make a thing that he removed Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. Vice presidents only have Secret Service protection all the time until 6 months after they leave office. And we're beyond that. Presidents have it for presidents and their families. They can have it for life, but it's mostly 10 years, but they can have it for life. The children of presidents don't even get Secret Service protection when their fathers are no longer president. In fact, I saw Gerald Ford, President Ford's son, I saw in an interview, he said he was playing cards with his Secret Service detail in a hotel room on Inauguration Day for Ronald Reagan. He said the second that Ronald Reagan was sworn in, they left the room. I was by myself in the room, and they didn't even finish the card game. But vice presidents only have protection for 6 months after they're out of office. So this ending of the Secret Service protection detail for Kamala Harris is what happens to every vice president. Now, they can call upon it at any time, but they do not have Secret Service details for life. That is, none of them do. Okay, so this is typical. It is normal. Now, if she needs them, she's entitled to call them, and they'll give her protection at any time. Okay, that goes for any member of Congress, too, in the House and everything. But there's nothing here. They're trying to make a big deal out of, he hates her. I was very surprised, though, that they didn't play the race card over here on MSNBC over it. There was no race card played. I was waiting for that. But no, there's nothing unusual. Mike Pence doesn't have a detail right now because he's been, and he didn't after that 6-month mark. Now, again, with that being said, if they ever have a concern or a worry they can call and they'll have it immediately. Now, the other thing is that they leave out is Kamala Harris and her weirdo husband, they're multimillionaires. They can pay for their own security. And a lot of presidents and some vice presidents, but presidents more so, have paid for their private security. It started with Richard Nixon. He discharged his detail. And it used to be, I don't know what the update is, but it used to be presidents had Secret Service for 10 years. Now, they may have changed this, but it used to be for 10 years, but they could request it. But it may be life now. But they're entitled to have it for life if they want. But what happened with Kamala Harris, it happens to every vice president. Vice presidents are forgotten. If you start with Trump and you work back, you can name presidents going back, and then you get into the 1800s and you get, well, maybe even in the early 20th century, and you start to lose the order, right? How far back can you go with the vice presidents? How far back can you go with the vice presidents? Not very far. I bet you most of you couldn't get beyond Carter without having the pause, who was the vice president. I would have difficulty myself, and I'm pretty well schooled in that stuff. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're new, make sure you follow and subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you click that notification bell. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.